A newly discovered asteroid is heading for Earth, and the probability of an impact is even higher than with Apophis. According to current calculations, NASA has once again significantly increased the risk of an impact, making 2024 YR4 the most dangerous asteroid to date. Although the approximately 100 large boulder does not have what it takes to become a planet killer, it is large enough to devastate an entire region or a metropolis like New York. The question now is whether NASA would simply allow the small asteroid to impact, or whether defensive measures would be taken. Concern is currently increasing dramatically. 2024 YR4 could hit us. The German space expert, Professor Ulrich Walter, expressed serious concern in the media. NASA has once again significantly upgraded the asteroid warning after a recent calculation. Professor Walter stated in an interview that asteroid YR4 will impact Earth with a probability of more than 3% in 2032. That may sound harmless, but on closer inspection, the warning is alarming. Within just 2 months, researchers have almost doubled the impact probability of asteroid YR4. What will happen if the forecasts become even more severe? If asteroid 2024 YR4 were to hit an inhabited area, the impact could kill thousands of people. The good news is that the exact impact location could be calculated fairly accurately and in good time in advance. But what if it were to hit in the middle of a heavily populated area or near a metropolis like New York or Berlin? A city or a district would have to be completely evacuated days or weeks before the impact. The effort and the cost would be immense, and the destruction after the impact would be devastating. Thousands of people could be left homeless. That sounds like a small Armageddon, and that's what it is. What many people don't realize is that this scenario could come true at any time. We may not even have to wait for the 2024 YR4 impact. In 2013, the mini-asteroid Chelyabinsk appeared in the city of the same name and caused thousands of windows to burst in seconds. The flying debris injured over 1,500 people, some of them seriously. The airburst released an incredible 500 kilotons of TNT. That's the force of 30 Hiroshima bombs. It's actually a miracle that more didn't happen. The city's completely surprised residents were lucky that the space rock detonated high enough in the atmosphere. The fact that such an event could happen without warning has left people in fear. The asteroid was only detected seconds before detonation. When it entered the Earth's atmosphere, it was already too late to issue a warning. The city was in shock for days. Is asteroid YR4 more dangerous than Apophis? It's devastating. The risk of an impact from asteroid 2024 YR4, which was only discovered in 2024, has now risen to more than 3%. The U.S. Space Agency announced that YR4 is now the most dangerous asteroid for Earth since space observations began. Never before has an asteroid been rated so highly on the Torino scale. 2024 YR4 could destroy an entire city or trigger a tsunami that causes even more damage. The time of the flyby of asteroid 2024 YR4 is already clear. On December 22, 2032, the asteroid could narrowly miss or hit us. The current asteroid warning of 3.1% currently applies to the Eastern Pacific, the Atlantic region, Africa, the Arabian Sea, and Southern Asia. These regions have to expect an impact with a probability of 1 in 32. Even Apophis, which will come dangerously close to Earth in 2029, cannot keep up with this. In 2004, the probability of an impact by Apophis was 1 in 37. At that time, however, NASA quickly downgraded the warning after a second orbit calculation. Today, the risk of a collision with Earth by Apophis is considered to be almost impossible. With YR4, everything is different. NASA significantly increased the probability of an impact after a new calculation. In an initial assessment, NASA still assumed an impact probability of 1.6%. The first warning was issued shortly after the discovery of 2024 YR4 by the Elqui Observatory in Chile. However, experts are currently also warning against fear-mongering too quickly. Although astronomers estimate that the lump is only between 40 and 100 m wide, The speed at which it will impact Earth and the details of its composition mean that even a small asteroid can be a dangerous projectile. Despite the risk upgrade and the concern, scientists emphasize that YR4 is not a dinosaur or planet killer. Some experts are even certain that the risk percentage will soon be downgraded. Bennu, Apophis, and now YR4. What are we really facing? We have to seriously ask ourselves why we are hearing more and more about potentially dangerous celestial bodies. Bennu caused a stir in 2016, then came Apophis in 2004, and now the focus is on YR4 in 2024. In between, the Chelyabinsk event of 2013 terrified us. Is this all just a coincidence? Or are we at the beginning of a new era of asteroid threats? The simplest explanation would be that we are simply looking more closely today. Our telescopes and radar systems are more powerful than ever, and projects like NASA's ENIO Surveyor or ESA's Hera mission are scanning the sky for near-Earth objects 24/7. In the past, many asteroids were only discovered after they had already passed the Earth, or in the worst case, only after they exploded in the atmosphere. Today, we often know years in advance when a celestial body will come close to Earth. As a result, more information and warnings are reaching the media and attracting more attention. But there are other worrying theories. Some scientists suspect that gravitational disturbances by Jupiter and other planets are currently changing the behavior of asteroids. As a result, boulders from the asteroid belt between Jupiter and Mars could be increasingly diverted into the inner solar system. An even more daring hypothesis is that our solar system passes through a region of increased debris density in the Milky Way. The asteroids would then enter our system from the galaxy, and this is a danger that has hardly been explored so far. Even more exciting, and no less alarming, is the idea of a cosmic cycle related to the movement of our solar system through the galaxy. Some researchers believe that we regularly pass through the dense galactic plane of the Milky Way, where increased gravitational forces hurl comets and asteroids from the Oort cloud into the inner solar system. There is even evidence that the comet that caused the dinosaur mass extinction 66 million years ago was linked to such a cycle. If we are at the beginning of a new asteroid bombardment, we definitely have a problem. The Earth has been hit by asteroids before in its history, and it will happen again. The question is not if, but when. But this time, humanity could be prepared. NASA has already proven with the DART mission that we would be able to displace an asteroid from its orbit. However, it is essential that we know about the object in time. Preparations for a global asteroid defense are currently in full swing. For NASA, there is no question that humanity would have to resort to defense for the first time in the event of an impact from YR4. The risk and destructive force would be great enough to prevent the asteroid from hitting the Earth in the first place. YR4 would even be perfectly suited to test our asteroid defense for the first time. If we can successfully divert the 100M asteroid, it gives us reason to hope that we can also cope with larger asteroids and comets at any time. First, NASA and other space agencies would send a probe to YR4 to learn more about its composition, shape, and size. This would most likely be a probe similar to the OSIRIS mission. OSIRIS has already brought samples from Bennu to Earth and is currently on its way to collect rock samples from Apophis. If there were enough time, OSIRIS could promptly fly onto YR4 after the end of the current mission. After that, international teams of scientists and engineers would have to construct a probe like DART. The size of the probe, the impact angle, and the force of the impact on the asteroid must be perfectly planned in order to effectively push the asteroid out of its orbit. What if the Tunguska event of 1908 repeats? Scientists compare the possible consequences of an impact of the newly discovered asteroid with the Tunguska event of 1908. This was one of the most violent cosmic explosions in modern times, and this event vividly demonstrates how devastating even small asteroids can be. On June 30th, 1908, an asteroid about 30 to 50 m in size, or a comet fragment, raced through the Earth's atmosphere at enormous speed and exploded at an altitude of about 8 to 10 kilometers above the Siberian taiga. The energy released was equivalent to between 10 and 15 megatons of TNT. That's about 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The shock wave flattened 80 million trees over an area of 2,000 square kilometers, burned all vegetation, and killed all animals for dozens of kilometers. If the fragments had come loose just a few hours later, the explosion would not have occurred over the unpopulated taiga, but possibly over a major European city. You can imagine the catastrophic consequences that would have had. The chunk from 1908 was similar in size to 2024 YR4. This projectile could easily cause a similar scenario. At several dozen meters in size, YR4 would also be small enough to detonate in the atmosphere before impact. It would not leave a crater, but the shock wave is no less dangerous, as the Tunguska event showed. Should YR4 detonate over an ocean, the shock wave alone could trigger gigantic tsunamis. Over densely populated areas, countless victims would be feared, as the shock wave could destroy windows, buildings, and infrastructure. These scenarios show how serious the threat is, and some experts are still not so sure whether the danger is really over for Apophis as well. When the asteroid was discovered in 2004, scientists calculated a 2.7% probability that it could collide with Earth in 2029. That was also one of the highest impact probabilities ever recorded for a known asteroid. Meanwhile, the all-clear has been given, but there remains a tiny risk. It is so small that researchers call it the keyhole, but it exists. If Apophis passes through a tiny region in space in 2029, it would be deflected by the Earth's gravitational forces in such a way that an impact in 2036 can still take place.